Chapter 10. As there are as many minds as there are heads, so there are as many kinds of love as there are hearts. Leo Tolstoy. The One. How we love. Chestnut trees, kapok trees, breadnut trees, palm trees, mahogany trees, chiclet trees, trees, and more trees bathe lowland Guatemala in green. Howler monkeys and parrots chatter in this universe of leaves. And far below prowl anteaters, peccaries, tapirs, and jaguars. Gone are the sweeping boulevards and gracious palaces that once reigned here, swallowed by roots and vines. But a majestic temple has been restored, the tomb of King Hasakanchawel, who was buried beneath this citadel of stone around AD 720. He had stood over 6 feet tall, lived into his 80s, and was the grandest sun king of the grandest city, Tikal, of the grandest New World empire, the Maya. Mayan inscriptions proclaim that Hasakanchawel adored his wife. He also built a temple in her honor, facing his. And twice annually, on the spring and autumn equinox, the sun rises behind his royal dwelling to cast its shadow directly across her temple. Then, as the sun sets, it spreads the shadow of her temple directly across his tomb. With this celestial device, these lovers still touch, some 1,300 years after death. The best match. What kind of man was Hasakanchawel? What kind of marriage did he make? Perhaps he was an explorer who fell in love with another explorer like himself. Perhaps he was a builder married to a builder, or a director who wed a negotiator. He could have made any kind of match, but he was happy in his marriage. People often ask me which is the best match, which the worst. I think each type of partnership is simply different. An explorer wed to another explorer will have different joys and sorrows than an explorer married to a builder, director, or negotiator, for example. Moreover, your secondary type always plays a role in how you love, as was recently described to me quite vividly. I had just made a speech about these 4 basic personality types, and a woman in the 3rd row raised her hand and said, "I can really see how all this plays out in my house. I'm an explorer, and my husband must be an explorer too. But my secondary type is definitely the negotiator, while he must be a builder. Sometimes we get into a really stupid fight. That's probably the negotiator fighting with the builder. Then we just drop the whole thing and go hiking." In this case, the spirited negotiator and traditional builder couldn't understand each other, so both reverted to their primary disposition, the explorer, to find union. We use many aspects of our temperament and our experience as we make a partnership. Moreover, relationships grow, change, and often mature. In fact, some psychologists maintain that one's real personality plays only a minor role in the first 18 months of a budding romantic match. Only after you settle in with him or her do the more deep-seated aspects of your temperament and character emerge. Even then, it sometimes takes a major crisis to realize how stubborn, flexible, or compassionate a partner really is. So although my mate choice study indicates that we are naturally drawn to some types more than others, and I suspect these matches are also more harmonious, different pairings of the 4 personality types yield 10 basic types of partnerships. All can work, but each will have its ups and downs. I'll explore all 10, but please keep in mind that each of us is a combination of all 4 basic personality types, and that the secondary aspect of your temperament and character affect who you are and how you love. Explorer-Explorer match. One Tuesday morning some years ago, my explorer boyfriend looked at me over breakfast and said, "Ever been to Warsaw?" "No," I replied. "Want to go?" he asked. "Absolutely," I said. He had just seen an ad in the New York Times for cheap round-trip tickets to Warsaw. 3 days later, we stepped off the plane in Poland, and headed for the Warsaw Uprising Museum, then dined in the Old Town. Havana, Athens, Kangerlussuaq, Reykjavik, Shiraz, Bratislava, Istanbul, Cairo, Dubrovnik, La Paz. I've wandered through these and many other places with this explorer. With him or other explorers, I have also read poetry and stories, explored the world's great museums, seen hundreds of plays, symphonies, and operas, and hiked the mountains and back streets of many exotic places. I have been fortunate. Over the years, I have found several explorers eager to go adventuring with me. When two explorers pair up, they do things together. Both are curious. Both have many interests, love to learn, and seek novelty, excitement, and adventure. And both are likely to be impulsive, high energy, flexible, daring, irreverent, resourceful, and very interested in sex. So two explorers can have great fun. Each has found someone who will play as hard and fast and creatively as they had always dreamed a partner would. Explorers also tend to be spontaneously generous. My explorer used to give me stamps and paper clips for Christmas, then surprised me with an extravagant present on some otherwise ordinary day. Two explorers aren't likely to argue over money either. Most share the view that money should be used to fulfill their dreams. Nor are they likely to argue over life's little chores. How to mop the floor or take out the garbage is likely to be immaterial to both. Explorers are flexible. They don't adhere to schedules or prescribed ways of doing things unless necessary. So neither will be fussy about rules. Explorers are optimists, too. Both partners are likely to look on the bright side of life, as well as minimize serious matters. Their light touch, their adaptability, and their mutual irreverence enable both to keep their spirits up when their life together is strained. But this match is not for the faint of heart. With a shared willingness to tolerate risks, two explorers can find themselves in magical or disastrous situations. I remember one fiasco particularly clearly, although it happened more than 30 years ago. One Saturday morning in January, my then explorer boyfriend bought a Jeep in Long Island, New York. We decided to drive it along the deserted beach around midnight. For a thrill, he drove close to the waves, and in seconds the car sank in the sand. The tide was rising. As he revved the engine and spun the wheels, the Jeep sank even more. Finally, I decided to hitchhike to the nearest town, find the police department, and marshal a host of cops, sleepy citizens, and tow trucks in 10-degree weather to rescue him. The excitement wasn't worth the strain. Despite their mutual attraction, a pair of explorers are bound to have problems. What they gain in intellectual and/or physical adventure, for example, they can lose in intimacy. Explorers are wildly independent. They must have autonomy, even from a mate. Explorers aren't generally introspective either. So two explorers will often shun difficult discussions, leaving serious family issues unresolved. Explorers also tend to be flirtatious, and they can stumble into romantic situations or even seek sexual involvements with men or women other than their partners. They are also prone to addiction, to drugs, gambling, alcohol, sex, or work. And two explorers can encourage each other's destructive habits and spend too much time together in bars or casinos. More insidious, two explorers can burn out, exhausting each other intellectually, physically, and emotionally. They can feel as if they've done it all and then hanker to move on as the novelty wears off. But when this match works, it really works. As I discovered when I did a study of 500 couples for Oprah magazine in 2007. In this investigation, I correlated various types of matches with scores on a happiness scale. Some of my questions measuring happiness were, does your partner satisfy your deepest psychological needs? How often do you feel in love with your partner? And do you get enough affection from your partner? Couples were largely men and women married for 15 to 19 years. Among my findings, explorers married to other explorers were particularly happy. In Keats' poem, Ode on a Grecian Urn, the male lover is painted on the urn in mad pursuit of his beloved. Forever panting and forever young. Keats captured the essence of the happy explorer-explorer match. Explorer-builder match. Explorers and builders are not typically attracted to each other. This is not a natural partnership. In fact, my mate choice study showed that male explorers are mildly unattracted to female builders, and male builders are slightly unattracted to female explorers. This is entirely understandable. Explorers and builders are polar opposites, even biologically. Dopamine suppresses serotonin channels, and serotonin suppresses dopamine circuits. So although this match may be dramatically effective, it's often challenging. Sometimes these opposites attract. The calm, controlled, cautious builder, for example, may be unconsciously drawn to the energetic, impulsive, risk-taking explorer, eager to enjoy the explorer's vitality and sense of adventure. The builder can also benefit from the explorer's playful sexuality, and the builder can use his or her nest-making and protective instincts to care for the explorer. Moreover, the builder is likely to listen attentively to the explorer, who often likes to talk about his or her ideas. Meanwhile, the novelty-seeking, irreverent, creative explorer can be attracted to the stable, loyal, traditional, and social builder because he or she wants family, home, and community, the roots that the builder can provide. The explorer may also admire the builder's rectitude, patience, trustworthiness, industry, and managerial skills. The explorer gets a chance to amuse and tease the builder. And since explorers often want to lead the way, in the builder, they may have a partner who wants to organize their adventures and come along. So an explorer and builder can satisfy some of each other's basic needs, as well as provide their children with both adventure and security. But this match is likely to face problems. Builders are not casual about courtship, sexuality, or their desire to start a family. They tend to be moral, responsible, and conventional. Builders have clear values, and they stick to them. Hence, the builder may try to push the explorer to settle into a steady job and daily routine. This can cause tension. A big issue is the explorer's need for a novelty versus the builder's love of familiarity and schedules. This difference became apparent to me one morning in a London hotel lobby. An explorer friend of mine and her builder husband were discussing their jogging route. It was their first day in London. The explorer suggested they lope through the deserted city streets, past Buckingham Palace and other sights that neither had ever seen. But the builder wanted to gauge the exact time and distance of his run, so he recommended they jog on the treadmills in the hotel basement. Each scowled at the other. Eventually, the explorer sped through London's byways, while the builder descended to the gym. Time may bring other problems, particularly regarding rules. Explorers do not respect rules. Rules stifle their autonomy and spontaneity. So the explorer can become irritated by the builder's compliance to regulations and traditions. Yet builders want to behave sensibly. For them, the respect of others in the community is essential, and they can view the explorer's disregard for rules and traditions as reckless and disrespectful. But trying to get an explorer to conform to prescribed standards is like using a net to catch the wind. Their differences in temperament can cause friction in more subtle ways. Builders are literal. They like conversations full of details and hard facts. But explorers want to use these data to theorize creatively, so the builder can come to believe the explorer is intellectually careless, while the explorer finds the builder intellectually stodgy. Moreover, the builder is persistent, a trait that the explorer can regard as stubbornness. In turn, the builder sometimes regards the uninhibited explorer as fey and fickle, impulsively leaping to embrace ways of doing things that have not been tested or authorized. The optimistic explorer can also find the stoic builder tedious and dour, while the hard-headed builder can regard the explorer as unrealistic and irresponsible. Cautiousness can become an issue, too. I recall one explorer who headed for the ocean surf carrying his 3-year-old son, intending to introduce him to the thrills of big waves. When his builder wife saw where he was headed with their child, she leapt after them with the rage of a mother bear. Builders tend to be careful with their money, so the builder will probably want to save cash that the explorer wants to spend. These two won't always see eye to eye on planning either. The explorer takes life as it comes, while the builder needs control and enjoys planning way ahead. And these two types have an entirely different moral compass. Builders tend to be strict about moral conduct, while explorers often regard morality as flexible, based more on the circumstances than on the fixed moral code. Last, this pair may disagree on how to spend their spare time. Builders are eager to see their friends and do familiar things, while explorers crave doing something new. So the builder won't understand why the explorer boycotts his or her parties, and the explorer is likely to feel stifled by these engagements. For builders, familiar pastimes are comforting. For explorers, they are a curse. Despite these differences, the explorer and the builder both bring great strengths to the relationship. The builder will ride out the crises and work like a beaver to stabilize the present and build the future. And the explorer is flexible and positive. This fox is likely to shrug off the frustrations and hope for better days. Moreover, the explorer can honestly appreciate the builder's loyalty and strength of character, while the builder may be continually drawn to the explorer's curiosity, creativity, and verve. So if the explorer and the builder both continue to love and respect each other, even depend on their partner's traits to keep life balanced and fulfilling, their differences will be their strength. Explorer-director match. This is a curious match. In my mate choice study, these two types found each other mildly unattractive. Yet if they do fall in love, they will have some powerful things in common. Importantly, explorers and directors can be highly compatible lovers because dopamine and testosterone both stimulate the sex drive. Their attitudes about lust will probably differ, though. The explorer is likely to take sex more casually, while the director will imbue sex with all sorts of symbolic meanings. But both partners are likely to enjoy sex together regularly. They're also likely to have interesting conversations. These two are often both intellectual. They both love playing with ideas. The explorer, however, is likely to have far broader interests, while the director will know a great deal more about a few topics, focusing narrowly and deeply. Still, the explorer will probably respect the director's analytical, logical, rational mind, and the director will admire the explorer's curiosity, originality, and breadth of knowledge. I know a couple like this. John, a director, is a biologist who knows a lot about genetics and brain systems. But to relax, he reads mysteries and watches sports on television. Linda, an explorer, is an investment banker. In her spare time, she reads widely: poetry, literature, the arts, the sciences, world affairs. Just about everything except football interests her. John is deeply knowledgeable about a few highly complex and sophisticated academic subjects. Linda appears to know everything else. Both these types can also be resourceful, even ingenious, and both are daring. And in the case of my friends John and Linda, John is very daring in his laboratory investigations, but nowhere else. Linda, on the other hand, travels the world to climb mountains, visit museums, taste new foods, and mingle with the locals in alien, sometimes even warring countries. Explorers and directors tend to be self-sufficient. Each will appreciate this trait in the other, and both are often very busy, professionally and otherwise. So neither partner is likely to be overly demanding of the other's time. Neither is likely to be possessive or unreasonably jealous either. In fact, the director's lack of possessiveness is comforting to the freedom-loving explorer, and the explorer's wanderlust or many local interests can give the director time to focus on his or her deeper pursuits alone. Neither is inclined to follow rules or schedules either, unless these strictures are useful, and both are flexible, open-minded, irreverent, and unconventional, so neither is likely to force the other to follow traditions they don't respect. These two types have very different ways of interacting with the larger world, however. As their name suggests, directors tend to be direct, even blunt. They like to get to the point. and say what they mean. Not explorers. These men and women may appear direct at times, but they are chameleons who can change at a moment's notice to fit in with their environment. Nevertheless, the subtle explorer is likely to find the director's candor refreshing, and the director may be charmed by the explorer's free and easy way with people. Where the explorer can be flamboyant and hedonistic, the director is emotionally contained and self-disciplined. But once again, each type can admire the other's style. The director is likely to be drawn to the explorer's energy and spontaneity, and the explorer can enjoy loosening up the director. Most important, both types like friends with whom they can have substantive and stimulating conversations, so neither will drag the other to superficial, tiresome social events. Each of these two types can upset the other, though. Explorers are optimists, and they tend to respond impulsively to all sorts of things. Directors are far more skeptical, and they make up their minds with calculated, exacting reason. So the explorer can find the director's rational skepticism frustrating, even cynical and cold-hearted. In turn, the director can find the explorer's impulsivity dangerous and chaotic. This difference can jeopardize their leisure activities, too. The director admires self-restraint, while the explorer tends to seek thrills. Both types are competitive, but the director is far more openly aggressive, something the explorer, who doesn't wish to show his or her true colors, can't understand. The director is also more goal-oriented and ambitious, while the explorer is more relaxed and enjoys his or her many interests. So the director is likely to think the explorer is unfocused, even lazy, while the explorer may come to regard the director as tunnel-visioned. This difference in focus can also disrupt their intellectual exchanges. The director can engage in conversations that sound to the explorer like a tedious academic lecture. By contrast, the explorer can soar into flights of playful creativity that the director finds silly and useless. Yet this match can have great strengths, as I have seen in the marriage of my twin sister Lorna and her husband Guy. Lorna is an explorer, and Guy is a director. Each brings many gifts to the partnership. She's a painter, and he's a genius at drawing up architectural and interior designs. When she has a gallery show, it is Guy who measures walls, visualizes spatial relationships, and hangs her work. He has also built beautiful homes for them over the years, designing elegant entryways, gardens, living spaces, and patios. But Lorna, the explorer, is the one who pilots them over the Alps in her balloon. Explorer-negotiator match. The explorers and negotiators in my mate choice study were not generally eager to meet each other, but female negotiators were particularly allergic to male explorers. Perhaps these men remind them of the playboys they dated in school. Despite the typical lack of initial attraction between these two types, many do fall in love, due to timing, proximity, and the subtleties of their love maps. And an explorer and negotiator can make a highly interesting match because of one remarkable aspect of their partnership. The explorer is creative, and the negotiator is imaginative. This is a wonderful combination for playing with ideas, something both types like to do. As I've mentioned, I don't think creativity and imagination are exactly the same thing, although they are often complementary. Creativity often requires some imagination, and imagination is often creative. But you can create a piece of music or develop a theory of natural selection and never daydream about tomorrow or reflect on yesterday. And you can daydream endlessly without creating a poem, song, hypothesis, or gadget. Nevertheless, the creative explorer, particularly the explorer of ideas, and the imaginative negotiator are likely to get thrills from their mutual intellectual meanderings. And because the explorer has many interests and the negotiator takes a broad view, each will bring knowledge and insight to their conversations. Both these types are also verbally skilled, although the negotiator will be better at finding precisely the right words to communicate thoughts, while the explorer will probably express opinions and ideas more spontaneously. Both types are also flexible, open-minded, and agreeable. and both tend to be optimists, so both will revel in the breadth and speed of their conversations as they soar from one topic to another. The explorer will also admire the negotiator's good-heartedness, win-win attitude, and need for harmony and consensus. The negotiator, meanwhile, is almost certain to appreciate the explorer's sexual appetite. Negotiators believe that sex is important to a partnership, but they can get caught up in so many other activities and concerns that they don't initiate it. In the explorer, they have a sensual and ever-ready physical companion. Moreover, the negotiator may add meaning and emotional depth to the explorer's playful times in bed. Negotiators are romantics. They like to create loving rituals to keep the passion sparkling, such as a goodbye morning kiss, surprise greeting card, or getaway weekend. Explorers will enjoy these gestures. To them, romance requires an element of play. Negotiators tend to show their emotions, too. So although explorers are often secretive about their deepest thoughts, they can be intrigued by the emotional transparency of their negotiator mates, even feel invigorated when swept into these storms of feeling. The explorer is probably also amazed at how trusting and patient the negotiator can be. Explorers are far more fickle. But after some of the romantic fervor begins to blend with the routines of a daily partnership, these two types can develop problems. The negotiator seeks to understand his or her own identity, as well as delve into the psychological underpinnings of the relationship. The explorer can become cynical about this need for introspection and impatient with the negotiator's desire to bestow meaning on every tiny interaction between them. Meanwhile, the negotiator may begin to yearn for more intimate discussions about feelings and motives, and may even come to believe that his or her explorer partner, who looks out, not in, is shallow. A related problem can stem from their different needs for autonomy. Both like their space. Both are independent-minded. Both respect the autonomy of the other. But the negotiator wants to have an authentic and deeply intimate connection with the mate, in a way that the explorer may never understand. And the explorer needs a genuine kind of freedom that the negotiator can find mystifying. So the negotiator may feel more and more emotionally abandoned, while the explorer feels stifled by this partner's need for closeness. Negotiators are also particularly socially skilled, generally far more so than their explorer mates, as well as more empathetic and intuitive. Hence, negotiators are more likely to take into account their mate's needs as they make decisions, sometimes going to great lengths to please. But explorers don't always appreciate this nurturing. Carefree and tough-minded, they can misconstrue this compassion, regarding their partner as indecisive, even spineless. Meanwhile, negotiators may wonder why their mate is insensitive, indeed incapable of reading between the lines to understand the nuances of the partnership. And unlike explorers, who tend to forget quarrels quickly, negotiators remember. These men and women can nurse a grudge, too. Negotiators are idealistic. They care not only for their partner, but also for everybody else. So when making decisions, they are likely to make an unrealistic choice to avoid hurting somebody's feelings. And although explorers are equally egalitarian, equally unimpressed with rigid or unfair rules and regulations, and equally disdainful of authority figures who take advantage of others, they don't share the negotiator's global empathy. So sometimes they can find their mate overly sensitive, even weak. The negotiator, meanwhile, may come to find the explorer hard-hearted and self-centered. As with other matches, however, both the explorer and the negotiator have traits that can ease the partnership through troubled times. Perhaps most important, the negotiator has a deep need for harmony, while the explorer is tolerant. As a result, both are inclined to overlook the hardships and persevere. Both are also flexible. Both crave romance. And both feel vitally alive while enjoying their creative and imaginative conversations and adventures. Moreover, the decisive explorer can aid the indecisive negotiator, and the compassionate negotiator can love the more fickle explorer unconditionally. So if each partner retains their positive illusions about the other, they can maintain their pas de deux for years. Builder-builder match. Builders are far more attracted to other builders than to any other type, as was clear in my mate choice study. They are also more likely to marry one another, more likely to say they are happy in their marriage, and less likely to divorce. This is a highly compatible and natural match. Builders tend to be calm, relaxed, and socially skilled. They are also literal and precise, so two builders can enjoy casual chit-chat, sharing facts about sports, people, health, politics, and business. Builders are managers, too. Both like bringing people together, building community ties, and maintaining their social networks. And because builders are self-effacing, affable, civic-minded, and often popular, a pair of builders will enjoy working together to create a wide and stable social network. They'll be effective, too, and share a lot of close friends. These men and women are not impulsive with their money, their actions, or their feelings. Security is important to them. Builders have a clear memory of yesterday's mistakes, so they prepare for the future. As a result, two builders can respect each other's need to save money and spend it carefully. I know a couple like this, Lori and Ralph. Both have worked hard. Both have saved their money. Now they're older, and both are eager to travel and enjoy some of life's luxuries. But they're having trouble parting with their cash. Recently, Lori told me of a touching moment between them that occurred one morning as she left their house. At the door, Ralph hugged her and whispered, "Spend a little money, honey." They laughed. She didn't. Builders are traditional. Duty, loyalty, and service to the community are the builders' strong suits, and two builders will respect each other for their shared values. Moreover, both will be devoted to family activities and will work to sustain domestic stability at almost any personal cost. Both are also patient, persistent, and industrious, as well as willing to do thankless jobs around the house. And both like to make plans and stick to schedules, so both will overlook their differences to follow the rules and make the marriage last. Fortunately, builders don't get bored easily either, which helps them keep their vows. But two builders will encounter various problems as their relationship matures. First of all, both are moralistic. Both believe there is a right thing to do and a right way of doing it. Both can also be critical, so two builders are capable of having an argument over trivial matters such as how to fold the laundry or wash the dishes. They can also lock horns over important issues, as is the case of Sam and Charlotte, a happily married builder couple, and friends of mine who took my personality type test. Sam is a builder-director. Charlotte is a builder-negotiator. They met at a dance in a small town in Virginia when he was 16 and she was 15. Both were with friends. As Sam said, "We started talking, and we've been together ever since." They've now been married 27 years. They have 3 issues in their marriage. One is how to raise their children. As Charlotte says, "I am more of the caretaker, while Sam is into tough love. If one of our sons wants to go out with friends, for example, Sam makes him do something to earn his free time. I don't think that's right. I think the kids should go and have fun, and then when they come home, they can help out if I need them." Arguing over child rearing is common among spouses, but like many builders, Sam and Charlotte refuse to compromise their personal standards. Both are stubborn. In this situation, Charlotte and Sam are also expressing the secondary aspect of their personalities. Sam is being tough-minded, a trait of the director, while Charlotte is more flexible and contextual, traits of the negotiator. Another issue between Sam and Charlotte is intimacy. Both agree that they don't spend enough quality time together. As Charlotte says, "When Sam is home, I still do my daily routine, and he does his own thing. It's almost like we're on different schedules." Sam agrees, saying, "Charlotte and I have our own routines, and we don't include each other enough." Builders feel that routines, schedules, and traditions keep life orderly and relaxing. In Sam and Charlotte's case, their mutual need to follow their personal schedules is endangering their closeness. Builders are also the least sexual of the 4 types, so I wasn't surprised to learn that lack of sexual intimacy was Sam and Charlotte's 3rd problem. Sex, and the closeness that it can generate, had also taken a backseat to their schedules. In spite of these issues, both Sam and Charlotte report that they are still very much in love. As Charlotte puts it, even though Sam and I have a couple kinks to work out, I am still so in love with him. Sam treats me well. He's very smart and talented, and I trust him 100%. I think he's my soulmate. Notice Charlotte's use of the words soulmate, an essential need of the negotiator. But in Sam, Charlotte also has a man who is likely to be loyal to her all her life. I suspect she will remain happy with him, too. In my 2007 study for Oprah magazine, I found that couples composed of 2 builders, most of them married more than 15 years, were particularly happy with one another. Builder-director match. Love at first sight is not likely to occur too often between a builder and a director, because the men and women of both types avoid meeting each other. On Chemistry.com, they look at one another's pictures, read one another's words, and regularly reject these individuals. Of course, some builders and directors do fall in love and marry, but they are probably attracted for reasons other than biological compatibility. Perhaps the timing is right, or they work or live nearby, or each provides much of what the other needs. Both may also cling to their positive illusions about their partner, because these types are vastly different. Builders tend to be socially skilled, while directors are straightforward. So if a builder and a director can respect each other's social style, they can make a strong team. The builder can even balance out the less socially adept director, and the director can add a forthright note to their conversations. But if the builder becomes irritated by the director's rude manner, and the director becomes impatient with the builder's superficial chat, these partners will have trouble at the breakfast table. Builders tend to be social, too. To them, community and business networks are important. They want to fit in, to belong, and to nurse their connections with others. Directors, on the other hand, are rarely interested in cultivating social networks. To these men and women, social mingling is a waste of time unless the people are very interesting or very useful to their career. So rather than building extensive social networks, directors choose to make a few close friends. Fortunately, these dissimilar social interests aren't always a disaster. The networking builder can broaden the director's social circle, while the director can add a handful of dedicated friends to their social mix. Still, the builder is likely to initiate parties and outings that the director can't abide, then feel abandoned when the director shows up late or not at all. The builder may even feel the director is trying to destroy the social networks that he or she is working so hard to maintain, and pine for a partner who will engage more enthusiastically in his or her social world. Meanwhile, the director may feel pressured to engage in what he or she regards as meaningless social pleasantries. Another cause of discord can arise from their very different interests. While the builder tends to have broad social interests, the director often has deep and narrow intellectual pursuits. In a good relationship, the director's various hobbies and work interests can bring intellectual vigor to the builder's more relaxed social world. In a sour partnership, the director can pursue these interests alone, and the builder will feel excluded. Even their conversations tend to be entirely different. Builders like to stick to the facts and details, while directors like to analyze these data, then use this information to build theories. Moreover, the builder finds it relaxing to exchange unrelated facts and trivia about the weather, sports, or people, which can bore the director. The director, meanwhile, is eager to have discussions on technical or esoteric subjects that are of no interest to the builder. These two can butt heads over many other issues as well. Builders respect authority and pride themselves on following the social rules. Not directors. These men and women scorn authority. They refuse to obey conventions of any kind unless doing so suits their needs. These two types also have quite different ideas about morality. Builders have a fixed moral code, and they can dig in their heels, unwilling to change their perspective, their habits, or their values. For directors, the right thing depends on the circumstances. Moreover, they are determined to do what is most expedient. Finally, while the director is highly competitive, The builder is group-oriented. So when the director launches a debate at the dinner table, or even an outrageous verbal attack, the builder uses all of his or her social skills to duck what seems like intellectual warfare. Despite these major differences in temperament, the builder and director can work well together in the home. Both are eager to create and maintain a stable family life. Both are orderly, meticulous, and efficient. Both are usually emotionally contained. Both are realistic, and each will take on complementary household tasks. The builder is likely to do more of the daily work necessary to keep things running smoothly, like making plans, following schedules, and buying the necessities to create a comfortable home. The director is likely to focus on stabilizing the family income instead. The builder and director will also be good at pooling their talents to make family decisions. The director is bolder than the builder, but exacting. He or she will make decisions with a thorough and confident style that the more cautious builder will admire. And both types tend to be loyal. In fact, both will work to maintain a less than perfect partnership, although the builder may be more motivated to sustain the relationship to maintain his or her respect within their community, while the director may wish to avoid the personal and financial disruptions of divorce. These two types also know how to have fun together. The director is likely to be more sexual, bringing vitality to the bedroom. Moreover, the director tends to be more creative and daring, traits that can excite the more traditional builder, and the builder's relaxed attitude and social charm can calm the director. These types have another powerful complementary trait. Directors tend to be technically skilled, even inventive. Many of humanity's great inventions have sprung from the minds of directors. Builders, on the other hand, have the managerial abilities to develop these ideas. I suspect that many successful companies are launched by directors, then run by savvy builders. So if this pair can combine their inventive and managerial talents to run their home, rear their children, and enjoy each other's company, the builder and director can march forth like 2 feet and achieve great happiness together. Builder-negotiator match. Here's another pair that isn't naturally drawn to each other. Still, many builders and negotiators do fall in love and marry, and if they can use their differences to their advantage, they can make a successful match. These two types, for example, have very different attitudes about themselves. Builders have a firm view of the world and their place in it. Deep introspection doesn't interest them. Inward-looking negotiators search for their own identity instead. They thoroughly question and analyze their values, worth, and objectives. So the negotiator is likely to be attracted to the builder's dependability and self-assurance, while the builder, a guardian by nature, can enjoy being a beacon of stability and self-acceptance for the negotiator. Negotiators see many sides to every issue, many avenues to any goal. Hence, they can get lost in the big picture, procrastinating as they imagine and reflect. Builders, on the other hand, think concretely, carefully, and cautiously. Then they act decisively. Indeed, they construct meticulous schedules and deadlines to get things done in a precise and thorough manner. So the builder provides a secure world in which the negotiator can more comfortably make important family decisions and navigate internal storms. The negotiator, on the other hand, is enthusiastic, optimistic, and lively. These men and women are also more curious than builders and have more interests. They like to pursue every aspect of their interests, too. So the negotiator can energize the calmer, less curious builder, bringing fresh ideas to the partnership. As a result, the builder is likely to find the negotiator invigorating, if somewhat naive. Such a couple is Kent and Nora, who I met recently while staying in their bed and breakfast in the Outer Hebrides. Nora, the negotiator, owns the inn. Kent, the builder, works on an oil rig in the North Sea in 2-week shifts. During my visit, he was off the rig and graciously took me around to see the local sights. At one point, he said of Nora, chuckling with pride, "She's interested in everything." He takes her annually to New York to shop and see the sights, although he is far less curious about the city than she. I suspect he needs her optimism, energy, curiosity, and creativity to feel alive. She, I'm sure, appreciates his steadiness and consideration. Both builders and negotiators are eager to build strong, stable relationships. Negotiators are far more emotionally expressive, however. They will tell their builder partner how they feel, as well as search to understand their mate's deepest needs. Although the builder may not appreciate the depth of the connection the negotiator strives to make, no type does except another negotiator, he or she is likely to be drawn to the negotiator's emotional depth. Meanwhile, the negotiator can enjoy establishing a heartfelt connection to a partner they feel will be loyal to their eternal bond. Builders and negotiators share a deep interest in home and family. Both are nurturing, although negotiators will probably be more sensitive to their partner's needs. Both can be orderly, although the builder is likely to excel in this respect. And both will be attentive to their children. The negotiator is likely to be far more lenient, however, while the builder will be stricter about rules and schedules. Both will enjoy planning for the future, too. The builder and the negotiator also have a similar interest in belonging, and both are socially skilled, so this pair can work easily together to develop strong business and community networks. Moreover, both are eager to help others, although the negotiator is likely to be more compassionate towards individuals, while the builder is more concerned about supporting the community. Still, each type will value the other's moral seriousness. These two types also tend to feel strongly about God. The negotiator is likely to take a personal, unconventional spiritual path, however, while the builder may be more drawn to organized religion. Yet, like other matches, this pair will have its share of rough times. The emotionally contained builder can become uncomfortable with the intense passion and sweeping emotional gestures of the negotiator. The builder can also be mystified by the negotiator's need to explore his or her identity, the larger meanings of life and esoteric philosophies, regarding these pursuits as frivolous. Moreover, the builder can be critical of the negotiator's imaginative ideas and new ways of doing ordinary things, innovations the builder can come to see as threats to cherished traditions and routines. I know one couple who used to have a fight every time they cooked a steak together, even though both liked their meat very rare. The smallest change in the routine would set them off, the builder wanting things done the normal way, the negotiator insisting on trying a new culinary technique. For their part, negotiators can become disappointed because their builder partner has proven to be less romantic than expected. Negotiators can yearn for more depth and meaning in their relationship, too, things the practical builder has difficulty fathoming, let alone providing. Negotiators may even find the builder superficial and try to remold this down-to-earth mate. For a while, the builder may try to satisfy the negotiator's thirst for more in-depth conversations about the relationship. Eventually, however, the builder is likely to feel unappreciated and irritated with his partner's seemingly foolish self-absorption and need to analyze the psychological underbelly of their lives together. Builders and negotiators have other basic differences that can disappoint. Builders like to stick to the facts and focus on concrete reality. Negotiators, by contrast, are intuitive, and they love to speculate. So although the negotiator may be initially attracted to the builder's realistic approach, eventually this facts-only attitude can get on the negotiator's nerves. Negotiators are not particularly dedicated to traditional values either. These men and women do not respect authority without questioning it first, and they do not believe people must always behave according to established patterns of proper conduct. Builders, however, believe that long-established customs need to be respected and preserved, and that authority should not be questioned unless there are powerful reasons to do so. This single difference in temperament can lead to real conflict. These two types will sometimes drive each other crazy with the way each reasons, too. Builders stick to the data and the facts when making decisions. They are not swayed by mere opinions. And they don't want to be deflected by ancillary considerations. They like to work in a straightforward path directly toward their goal. Not negotiators. They fly off on tangents of imagination and weave long webs of possible repercussions before they make any decision. So while the builder can come to regard the negotiator as feather-brained, the negotiator can come to believe the builder is unimaginative and boring. In spite of their differences, both the builder and negotiator are nest makers, and when they work together, the pillar of society and the philosopher king can make a loving and effective team. Director-director match. Recently, I had a business appointment with a corporate lawyer in the breakfast room of a Boston hotel. Within seconds of meeting him, I knew he was a director. He was tall and had the rugged, handsome face built by testosterone. He was commanding in his black pinstriped suit and red tie. He was also direct, focused, tough-minded, and aggressive. Indeed, I thought he just might order a bowl of rocks for breakfast. However, he knew about my personality research, and after some preliminary conversation, he told me that he had married another director, someone like himself. They were both highly successful lawyers, he said, and both were very analytical, exacting, and decisive. Summing up his relationship with her, he said, "I finally found a woman I understand. She thrills me." Directors are not particularly drawn to each other at first sight, but they have no initial dislike either. As they look at the photos and read the words of other directors on Chemistry.com, the women respond neutrally to the men, and the men are just slightly positive about the women. Nevertheless, when two directors fall in love, they can be thrilling company for each other. Directors are often very competent, and they are drawn to anyone who is equally focused and shares their concerns. So two directors almost instantly begin to talk in great detail about their shared interests. Moreover, both are analytical, logical, skeptical, and critical. Both like to stick to the data, rather than exposing their needs or feelings. Both like to theorize, both like to debate, both say what they mean, and both appreciate the other's direct, informed, and exacting approach. These men and women are the most emotionally contained of the four types. They like to solve their problems without letting their emotions get in the way. So other types can find directors aloof, detached, even cold. But two directors understand each other, and they know that beneath a sometimes frosty exterior boils a human being with real feelings and real needs. Moreover, because neither tends to engage in false social gestures, both know that when they express compassion, apologize, ask for help, or say "I love you," they mean it. Directors are also decisive, but as you know, they do not make their decisions impulsively. They analyze the situation logically and calculate the outcomes thoroughly. Then they act. So although a pair of directors may appear cautious, they are actually logical and meticulous, and each partner can admire this strategy in the other. Both also scorn social conventions. Directors are not traditional. Neither will drag the other to what both regard as frivolous social occasions. Instead, each will introduce the other to a few close friends. And both will enjoy sharing intimate evenings with like-minded people, eager to have intense conversations on interesting topics. Both will also enjoy the impromptu late-night movie, quick trip to somewhere for a 2-day vacation, or an early morning walk together, as long as these spontaneous times don't interfere with either's work or hobbies. Directors are ambitious and competitive. They often want to get to the top of their field, and they have the energy to work at it. So they are dedicated to their careers or other pursuits, and they understand this commitment in each other. Both are highly independent, too, and neither is overly possessive. Each can therefore give the other the time and privacy they need to get ahead. In fact, these men and women can tolerate, even enjoy, long periods of time alone, working. Neither needs to renew the partnership with constant verbal expressions of intimacy. What's more, sparks are likely to fly in the bedroom. Directors tend to have a high sex drive, and although a pair of directors are not likely to be emotionally expressive at the breakfast table, or even during a candlelight dinner, both can open up while making love. In fact, directors regard sex as deeply intimate and a precious gift to be given and received, and each appreciates this attitude in the other. But there are potential problems in this partnership, as in every other match. To begin with, directors tend to be workaholics. Even when working at their hobbies, they can become overly absorbed. So after the initial passionate romance has been tempered with feelings of secure attachment, directors often don't make sufficient time for each other, a bad habit that has been directly associated with high levels of testosterone. Which reminds me of Ted and Jackie. Both work too hard. He is an academic psychologist with many students and projects, she at her retail business. Both have slipped into the habit of barely seeing each other. Finally, they decided to view their marriage differently, regarding it as a threesome. Ted, Jackie, and the relationship. Now, every Saturday they go off and do something exciting together, to please and satisfy the relationship. This fictitious third party helps to keep the marriage strong. Just as toxic as ignoring each other, two directors can insult each other. These partners enjoy matching wits, so they can compete when they play sports or card games, or even when completing crossword puzzles. Both are also skeptical and exacting, and both can be aggressive, even rude. Two directors sometimes question each other's facts or logic when they talk, or hurl criticisms that make each other angry. They will return the attack, too. Neither wishes to be intimidated. Both want to win. As a result, two directors can fall into a pattern of rarely spending time together, misunderstanding each other when they do, and being critical when they feel disrespected, which only makes their misunderstandings worse. But when two directors appreciate each other's thirst for knowledge and achievement, spend enough time together, and argue constructively, both can be devoted partners. Directors can be very loyal. Besides, directors don't like to fail at anything, including their primary relationship. Many don't want to face the nuisance of divorce or dating again, either. So two directors are likely to ride the bumps to keep the partnership intact. They may even find a consistent and long-lasting thrill in the relationship, particularly if each regards the other as a mind mate. Director-negotiator match. Although negotiators and directors have extremely different temperaments, these types are often drawn to each other at first sight, as my mate choice study showed. This is a natural, complementary match. To begin with, their thinking meshes. Both types of people dislike wasting time on irrelevant or superficial conversations. Both like to discuss abstract concepts and generate theories, and both enjoy conversations about philosophy, literature, the arts, the sciences, or politics. Yet with their web thinking, negotiators see the big picture, while directors focus intently on a smaller piece of the puzzle. So each type can impress, even enchant the other with their knowledge and insights. They also make decisions well together. Each adds skills the other lacks. Negotiators have a complex inner world full of possibilities and ethical dilemmas. They can think of many facets to a problem and many ways to solve it. As a result, they're inclined to ruminate without acting. Directors are decisive, yet likely to skip over what they regard as ancillary data in their need to achieve their goal, the solution of the problem. The negotiator sees all the angles, and the director can make the final decision. It's a great team for reaching an effective solution to most problems. They also have complementary social skills. Directors are the least compassionate of the four types. Negotiators are the most empathetic. Directors are poor at verbalizing their thoughts and feelings. Negotiators excel at all sorts of linguistic skills, particularly at finding the right word rapidly. Directors are emotionally contained. Negotiators are emotionally expressive. And if directors are too blunt, forthright, and competitive, negotiators are too eager to please. So in social situations, the negotiator can smooth out the director's inappropriate comments, while the director can contribute some refreshing candor to the conversation. Each of these personality types can admire the dissimilar qualities of the other type, too. Negotiators pick up every nuance of every social interaction. Every tilt of the head or lilt of the voice speaks volumes. Hence, for them, the director's bluntness can be enjoyably easy to decipher. Negotiators also like the director's ability to focus on one thing at a time, capacity to concentrate on their goals, and gift for knowing his or her own mind. And negotiators appreciate the director's ambition and willingness to sacrifice to get ahead. It's mutual admiration, too. Directors are drawn to the negotiator's enthusiasm, warmth, and insight into people. Directors are comforted by the negotiator's compassion and heartfelt approval, even if they don't admit it. And even though directors are the least able of the four types to change their minds, they can appreciate the negotiator's mental flexibility. Moreover, directors can become so focused on work that they sometimes miss life's basic pleasures, an impromptu Sunday picnic, or their child's school play, unless their mate insists they participate. Negotiators know how to influence directors. They are diplomatic, yet firm. This trait is important to directors who want a mate who has the strength of character to stand up to their formidable personality. In the pacific, charming, but determined negotiator, they find their match. Both types also value personal autonomy, but the director is far better at expressing his or her need for independence, whereas the negotiator is more eager to please. So the negotiator can admire the director's ability to act freely, while the director can appreciate the negotiator's agreeableness, and each can enjoy the trust and freedom the other provides. The negotiator and director mesh in many respects, but perhaps most important is the way they court and sustain their love. Nothing holds either back from pursuing what they regard as a worthwhile relationship than deepening the commitment. Both types are capable of reaching extreme intimacy with the beloved, too, although the negotiator is more verbal about it. Problems can emerge, of course. Directors are not emotionally expressive. Instead, they strive for efficiency and logic, traits that can disappoint the expressive, often sentimental negotiator. Directors don't like redundancy either. They are not likely to say, "I love you" on a regular basis, or to respond to many of the other tender rituals the negotiator is likely to create to feel connected. So trouble will surely start if the negotiator begins to construe the director's aloofness and preoccupation with work as thoughtlessness or indifference. And as the negotiator begins to feel unnoticed and unloved, the director can feel misunderstood. Early in their marriage, neuroscientist and Nobel laureate Eric Kandel and his wife were a good example of this particular stress and misunderstanding between two very different personalities. In his autobiography, which suggests that he is a director wedded to a negotiator, Kandel writes of a pivotal moment. Shortly after our son Paul was born in March 1961, Denise and I had a serious crisis, by far the most serious of our life together. I thought we had an unusually harmonious relationship, but one Sunday afternoon she showed up as I was working in the lab and simply exploded on me. Carrying Paul in her arms, she screamed, "You can't go on like this. You are only thinking of yourself and your work. You are just ignoring the two of us." I was startled and deeply hurt. I was so transfixed by my science that it never dawned on me that I was withdrawing my love for them. In response, I decided to spend more time at home. Kandel overcame this classic conflict between a director and a negotiator. But this is not the only major issue that can jeopardize this partnership. Directors admire self-control, so if the negotiator turns into a drama queen or king, the director is likely to retreat emotionally, deflecting further discussions with hostile silence. The director can also become impatient with the negotiator's intuitive side, regarding it as airy nonsense. Meanwhile, the negotiator may begin to find the director's insistence on logic irritating, particularly if the director's proclivity to do what works tramples on someone's feelings. These personalities also differ in how they look at life in general. The negotiator is far more idealistic. As a result, the director can become annoyed by the negotiator's far-flung humanitarian concerns, while the negotiator can begin to regard the director's more technological approach to fixing the world's problems as narrow-minded and unfeeling. This match is often regarded as the classic example of how opposites attract. You probably know plenty of them: the hard-driving, aggressive, blunt man married to the socially skilled woman who runs his home and supports his harried business life. But female directors, such as Hillary Clinton, also marry their complementary type. To balance her direct, decisive, focused personality, she married a talkative man with a warm, open, synthesizing mind. When a director and negotiator put their heads and hearts together, they can make an exciting and formidable match. Negotiator-negotiator match. Negotiators are true idealists, the least realistic of the four types regarding romance, love, and marriage. They seek the perfect partner and eternal love, and they refuse to compromise. Some negotiators would rather live alone for years than settle for anything less than a deeply meaningful relationship. Nevertheless, negotiators are not generally attracted to each other at first meeting. My mate choice study showed that negotiator women have only a very mild initial attraction to negotiator men, while negotiator men tend to avoid women of their type. When two negotiators fall in love, however, they are likely to revel in a dream come true. Negotiators want to talk to their partner about everything: how their partner feels, what their partner thinks, their mate's goals, hopes, and disappointments, their partner's childhood, and particularly the intricacies of their life together. Negotiators reach out, but they also reach in, analyzing their own motives, thoughts, and feelings. So two negotiators can talk endlessly about each other and themselves. Both want to share and connect. With their superb communication skills, two negotiators can travel into each other's psyches easily, too. These people are intuitive, picking up a host of subtle messages from the other's slightest frown, shift of body weight, or change in tone of voice. Both can also express their feelings vividly and accurately, with just the right words. And each tends to be highly sensitive to the other's feelings and needs. So two negotiators can shower each other with attention, understanding, and forgiveness. Two negotiators have many things to talk about, too. Both see the big picture. Both accumulate information and assemble it into complex webs of thought. Both like to generalize, synthesize, play with ideas, and digress into side conversations. And both are highly imaginative, creating all sorts of amusing and intriguing scenarios from just a few facts. Not surprisingly, this pair often engages in ingenious and inspired dialogues, swinging easily from facts to broad theories about how the world works and why people do the things they do. Neither is a social butterfly either. Nor are they impressed by social rules, standards of proper conduct, or long-held traditions. Like all but builders, negotiators are not conventional. Instead, they strongly believe that each ethical, social, and political situation deserves special consideration, requiring its own moral approach. What is most important to these men and women is their own conduct. They must be genuine and honest. Interactions with friends must be personal and authentic, too. So both are likely to introduce their partner to friends whom the other will like and respect. Negotiators are romantic. They go to great lengths to sustain feelings of passion for their sweetheart. For example, I recently met a woman, Pamela, who told me that she regularly takes a long subway ride in New York to buy bottles of special salad dressing for her husband-to-be. She whispered to me, "He likes it so much he can even drink it out of the bottle while he watches TV." Negotiators call each other from anywhere in the world to stay in touch. They bring home thoughtful gifts and compose poems and songs to serenade the other. Both want to bring beauty, passion, intimacy, and affection to the partnership. Negotiators also share beliefs. Both tend to be spiritual, if not formally religious. Both are also likely to have a deep concern for the local or world community. And both tend to devote time or money to their personal social causes, be it saving polar bears, educating the underprivileged, or supporting cultural, educational, or political institutions, and each respects this idealism, altruism, and activism in the other. Despite what may sound like an ideal match, however, this partnership can encounter some stunning pitfalls. To begin with, negotiators sometimes give each other too little privacy and get on each other's nerves. A friend of mine, Laura, smothered a relationship in exactly this fashion. Laura and her new negotiator man, Jeff, fell into each other's arms one evening at a party and soon became inseparable. They rarely went out. Instead, they lay on her couch, endlessly baring their souls to each other. Soon every nuance of their interactions became swollen with subtle meanings. "Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar," Freud famously said. Not to these two negotiators. Moreover, they thought they could surmount any problem with honest discussion. So when Jeff began to want to make lengthy journeys to take part in esoteric musical events, and Laura didn't want to accompany him, they mutually decided that he should go with a different partner, his former girlfriend. Too much sharing and compromise soon choked their feelings for each other. The relationship imploded from its own psychological weight. Negotiators also have trouble making up their minds. They become swamped in the endless possibilities. And when they do make decisions, they tend to make them from the heart, because they are loath to hurt anybody's feelings. Hence, this pair can be slow to solve a problem and too soft-hearted to make the most logical decision when they do. Both are also mechanically challenged. Two negotiators will have to hire others to fix the lawnmower or set up a new computer. Neither can handle any kind of personal confrontation either, and neither is direct. So when relationship troubles loom, each is likely to lash out by gossiping behind the other's back. Most negotiators are very slow to leave a partnership, however. They ruminate instead of acting. Negotiators feel such compassion for their mate, as well as such unease with conflict, that they go to extremes to address the problems in their relationship instead. But they won't procrastinate forever. If two negotiators can't find genuine intimacy with each other, eventually their disillusionment overcomes their anxiety, and they turn away to search again for eternal love. Still, many negotiator couples find and keep what they have sought all their lives: a soulmate.